we're going to learn about properties of trapezoids. And trapezoid is in the quadrilateral family, but it is not a parallelogram. Let's look at the properties of a trapezoid. It has one pair of parallel sides, so different than a parallelogram has two opposite sides that are parallel. Those are called the bases, and the other parts are called the legs. So the parallel sides are called the bases, and so it doesn't matter which way it's facing on your picture. The bases are the parallel sides. All right, so what are the bases? What are the legs? So parallel sides are your base. This is a base, and this would be a leg. This would be a leg. All right, base, base, leg, leg. Base, base, leg, leg. All right, so what is a base angle? A base angle is the pair of angles that touch the same base. So these angles here would be base angles, and then these angles would be another pair of base angles. Okay, so let's see what that does. The first property of a trapezoid is that two angles that touch the same leg are supplementary. So these two angles, here's your leg, this is your base. So these would be base angles, but we're talking about the two angles that touch the same leg are supplementary. So these two are going to be equal to 180, and these two will equal 180. So for angle A, we know that these two are touching the same leg, so they must equal 180. So 180 minus 115, that would be 65. All right, we're going to throw in a little different situation here. First of all, the definition of a midsegment is that the midsegment of a trapezoid goes from the middle of one leg to the middle of the other, and it is parallel to both the bases. So here we're cutting this in half. We're cutting that leg in half, making a midsegment. And it is parallel. These three are all parallel. All right, so what are we going to learn from that? The length of a midsegment is the average length of the bases. So we are going to add up the two bases, divide it by 2, and that will give you the length of the midsegment. All right, so we know that the bases divided by 2 gives you the midsegment. So that is 56 divided by 2 is going to give you the midsegment. So 28 equals x. Is the average between the two other ends. All right, now we know that 8 is the midsegment, so it is the average between 5 and x divided by 2. All right, to figure this out, then I need to solve this. 16 is going to equal how did I get that? I multiplied both sides by 2. And then solve for x. Subtract 5 from both sides, and I get 11. So 8 is the average between 5 and 11. All right, for this one, 15 is the average between x plus 3 and 4x plus 7, the two bases. To solve this, multiply both sides by 2, so I get 30 equals x plus 3 plus 4x plus 7 30 equals 5x plus 10. Subtract 10 from both sides, 20 equals 5x. Divide by 5, x equals 4. So that means this side would be 4 plus 3 is 7. 4 times 4 is 16 plus 7. It's going to equal 23. So that means 15 is the average between 7 and 23. 7 plus 23 is 30. Divide by 15 is half of that. So it's halfway between 7 and 23. All right, we have a unique kind of trapezoid called an isosceles trapezoid. So remember, like we talked about isosceles triangle. Well, and this is where I kind of just think of it as an isosceles triangle with the top chopped off, right? If this was finished off, you would have an isosceles triangle. So they have congruent legs, and the diagonals and the base angles are also congruent. So this base angle is congruent to this one, right? And that would be just the same as with an isosceles triangle. But we also have this top angle here that is congruent, and then the diagonals are congruent. Now they are not bisected like in a parallelogram, but they are congruent diagonals, and so wherever they meet, the two halves are congruent to each other. The legs are congruent. Okay. All right, so in this case, we know it's an isosceles trapezoid. The opposite sides are legs are congruent, and the bases are parallel. So we can use the property of trapezoids that says the angles between the legs would be supplementary. So this one would have to be 180 minus 115. Okay, so that is 65 degrees. And then we know these angles are congruent, so 115 and 65. All right, so that's it for this video, and we'll do some more practice on trapezoids. Have a great day.